Hey everybody, welcome back. Would I be the a-hole for refusing to go to my brother-in-law's destination wedding after his fiance wore white to my wedding? All rise for the Honorable Judge Charlotte. This story is from the Charlotte Dobre YouTube subreddit. A little background, okay? My 32 female husband, 38 male, we'll call him Dan.
The name's Daniel.
Has one brother, 33 male. We'll call him Jordan, whom he has never gotten along with, okay? So husband and his brother don't get along. Dan isn't much of a sharer, so I don't know all the details. All I know is that according to Dan and Jordan's aunt, Jordan was horrible to Dan growing up. Jordan is also notoriously disliked and is known to just not be a good person by just about everyone I've met that also know him.
Screw you guys. I'm going home.
Their own grandmother warned me about him before we met. Now, Jordan is not unpleasant. He is a fully hatched bigot.
Gross.
Well, that's always awkward, you know? It's always fun to be around. Cause like everything in you is just like, let's do something. Let's just exchange pleasantries and pretend that I don't, what's the word? I just don't respect you. I just don't. Now, I'm not usually very confrontational. I have people-pleasing tendencies, same bestie. But after a few drinks, I'm a tad more flippant with my opinion. Same here. You know, in certain situations, like I can't even be around certain people without like blurting out how much I dislike them. Listen, at least I'm not fake. That's why I have issues with conflict, right? Because like I got a big mouth and my face kind of just looks like I'm a good actress, but I'm bad at hiding how I feel. I try to keep those conversations very short because after a while I'm just like, you suck. It's a fault. It's a fault of mine. I'm not perfect. I don't pretend to be. I'm trying to say, OP, I get where you're coming from.
I can understand you feeling some kind of way about that.
Over Christmas, Jordan made a comment about people of other races not being real people. Oh yeah, that would piss me off too. I lost it, but the meanest thing I said was, thank goodness you live somewhere your opinion doesn't really matter. Honestly, you could have said much worse than that. They live in a very, very blue state. He responded that I didn't matter, lol. So I just got up and walked away to help his fiance, 25 female, we'll call her Katie, wash the dishes. I apologized to her, in my mind having to deal with Jordan, but in her mind was for yelling at him. And she responded with something along the lines of, no, I'm sorry, I wish I believed in something that much. Okay, so is she like an enabler? She maybe has the same feelings that he does? I don't know, that's concerning. I thought that was a little odd, but we were all pretty intoxicated, so I just didn't pay mind to that comment. I also agreed to be nice to Jordan for the rest of the evening, mostly to keep my mother-in-law, who I love, happy. The rest of the evening, Jordan sulked in the corner, while Katie, my mother-in-law and father-in-law, Dan and I opened gifts, chatted, and had generally a good time, considering what happened. I just find it weird that you're the only one that's kind of somewhat speaking up in a very people-pleasing manner. Sometimes I'm around people that share like really strange opinions that are just like just sprinkling in some prejudice in there. And like, you know, obviously sometimes it's not good to cause conflict, and people are who they are, especially if they're from a different generation.
What is okay, boomer?
Thank you.
But there are times where I just say, honestly, like, you really shouldn't say that. Like, you can say it in like a, you shouldn't say that, or like a, you shouldn't say that, or you shouldn't say that out loud. But either or, they shouldn't even be thinking it.
How dare you?
Some background on Katie I feel is important to the story. She's one of those women that looks like a real housewife. Not in a bad way, she just looks all glammed up and she's always wearing designer clothes and bags and expensive jewelry. She actually looks a lot like a younger Brandi Glanville. Who's that? I love me some reality TV, but okay, yeah, I don't know who that is. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Got it. I like nice things as well, but I'm much more the type to live in sweatpants unless I need to go somewhere that requires real pants. She's also very loud and loves to be the center of attention. Meanwhile, I'm dreading my own wedding day simply because of all the people looking at me. Katie and I really couldn't be more different, and I didn't necessarily see it as a bad thing at first. But there was something about her that rubbed me the wrong way, and I just couldn't put my finger on it. I was a little weary of anyone willing to date someone like Jordan, fair And I just had this weird feeling that Katie didn't actually like me or was trying to one-up me in some way.
You got nothing on us!
Yeah, this kind of behavior is so prevalent. Like, I've literally just gotten to a point, like, I understand that we're like, don't dull your shine or whatever, but like, I genuinely feel like, you know, you got a few friends, right, that are genuinely happy for you, or your partner or something like that. I've come to the conclusion sometimes that sharing like good things about you kind of reveals the worst in people. So sometimes it's best just to share the good things that are happening in your life with people that you know are like unconditionally happy for you. Because it's things like this where, like, you know, you'll share good news and then they'll be like, there's a one-upper, you know?
We're better than you, and we know it.
You know that one-up guy? That's actually my friend Connor. He does this thing on like TikTok. It's like his bit where he's just like,
those are some nice presents. We're going to the Maldives for Christmas.
you know, they just kind of slide it in there. They slide it on in. I hate one-upping with an absolute passion. And people who are not self-aware that they're doing it are just like, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Okay, so she feels this way probably because Jordan and Katie got engaged 2 months after Dan and I, and set their wedding to August of this year, 6 months after ours. I've seen enough Charlotte videos to know that maybe I was just being insecure or projecting or something, so I just keep those feelings to myself and tried my best to befriend my future sister-in-law. But it just seems so odd to me because Jordan and Dan's parents have absolutely no idea Jordan was even considering proposing. Okay, so do we think that she kind of pushed him to do it? Like, what are we getting at here? I could see where you're coming from if they intentionally scheduled the wedding to be before yours. I'm sure you feel the way you feel for a reason, so let's get the context. Things started to get weird when I invited her to my bachelorette party via my maid of honor who was planning it, and her response was,
Thanks, but I already celebrated her in Nashville.
okay. Nashville was a trip where we were both invited with my mother-in-law to visit mother-in-law's sister and our future female cousins since they live there. It was a semi-celebration for me, but more of a girls in the family trip, and I had absolutely nothing to do with it. I think it's good to separate, like, the celebrating, like the bachelorette thing. You know, you kind of celebrate it with your family and like future sister-in-laws, future cousins, you know, the family part, and then friends separate. Or you celebrate it, you know, with your old friends and your new friends. I have learned that sometimes it's good to separate things. What was I getting at? What was Charlotte getting at? Like, old me would read that and be like, oh, she had 2 bachelorettes. But honestly, it's like totally normal to have more than one kind of like celebration. But fine, we don't live in the same state, and even though my bachelorette was a local one-day thing on a weekend, I understand it's a trip for her and not everyone can take off work and afford to make the trip. I was still a little hurt, but again, I was willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. I mean, yeah, give her the benefit of the doubt, but also her saying, well, I already celebrated you enough is like, do we need to say that out loud?
And don't you mouth off to me.
It's not necessary. Oh, you only deserve one celebration. Keep in mind, all this was before Christmas, but again, after the blow up, Katie and I seemed to be getting along fine. Surprisingly well, in fact. And I actually started to think that maybe we could be friends. Flash forward to Dan and I's wedding day.
One eternity later.
The wedding venue was laid out and I was able to see all the guests arriving and taking their seats from my getting ready suite. So I'm standing in the window watching people arrive, getting pumped to marry the man of my dreams, and in walks Jordan and Katie in a white dress. And we actually do have a picture of the white dress, so hang on. I immediately started laughing, simultaneously in disbelief, but also not surprised. The night goes on and the vast majority of people in attendance, at least on my/our friend's side, were absolutely appalled. Right, because that is embarrassing. It's rude.
You're so rude.
Like, it's very rude to do that. I will let you know that, like, I have seen one person wear a white dress to a wedding, and I will never think of her the same way again. Like, if I ever run into her in like at another like family gathering or whatever, I'd be like, oh, you're the girl that wore a white dress to my friend's wedding.
You go to hell. You go to hell and you die.
It's gonna taint it. She do be tainting her reputation. Imagine that's how people remember you. It's not a good thing. My wedding planner was livid, and the bartenders even asked me, unprovoked, if I would like them to spill a drink or two on her. Honestly, at the time, I felt so vindicated and relieved that my instincts about her were correct. I told them not to worry about it. I mean, at this point, I feel like if you wear white to someone else's wedding, everyone knows exactly what kind of person you are. It's true, they kind of dig their own grave. It's petty and you'd be in the right if you wanted to do that, but you don't need to do that for people to not like her afterward. In fact, if you kick her out of the wedding, you're kind of saving her from her own embarrassment. So letting her just kind of go about the day is embarrassing enough. The funniest part, I found this out later, is that my maid of honor confronted her and said, "Why would you wear white to a wedding?" And she goes,
It's not white, it's cream. I would never wear white to a wedding.
Picture attached is of a similar dress of the same color for reference. Now that a couple days have gone by and I've had some time to stew, I realize how incredibly disrespectful that really was. I mean, she's either as stupid as she looked in that dress and didn't realize the dress was inappropriate, or she did it intentionally.
You can't fix stupid.
I think that we all know by now that wearing something that like even has white in it, like even if you wear like a summer dress that has white and like flowers, I usually think that that's a pass, honestly. But like if you're close to the bride, you have her number or whatever, if you are at all confused, just like send her a picture of it before you buy it, before you wear it to the wedding, because at the end of the day, it's not really up to you what you think is appropriate to wear to someone else's wedding. It's up to the bride. So doesn't really matter what she thinks. So anyway, on to the would I be the a-hole part of the post. Jordan and Katie are getting married in August. It's a 4-day destination wedding in the Bahamas that would cost a minimum of $1,800 between the hotel and the flight for Dan and I to attend. I know this would really upset my mother-in-law, but Dan and I really don't want to go. If it were in their hometown, we would just suck it up for mother-in-law, but the idea of taking time off work and spending almost $2,000 to celebrate people who don't hesitate to hurt us on our own wedding day is not necessarily on my bingo card for 2025.
That was a big waste of my time and my money.
I don't want to ruin my relationship with mother-in-law and father-in-law because they're really wonderful people, but I also refuse to spend the rest of my life being disrespected by Jordan and Katie, so I feel like we need to set the boundary now before it gets worse. So please tell me, lovely potatoes, would I be the a-hole if we refused to go to my brother-in-law's wedding after his fiance wore a white dress to my wedding? All right, so this is the dress, or a similar dress. You're not wrong for being mad. You're not wrong for wanting to set boundaries. You also don't really like the brother or the husband or whatever. See, the thing is like, you can't set this boundary of not going to the wedding without actually telling her why. Like, you could make up an excuse that's like, oh, you know, we can't afford it, or like, oh, we have some, you know, family problems that, you know, we're not unable to make it, we can't do the dates or whatever. But like, I think that an actual conversation has to be had where you tell her that you're upset about what she wore to your wedding. Because just not going to the wedding is not a boundary enough. Like, it sends a message, but like, it also makes you the bad guy, right?
Excellent.
Because they're all going to be there, you know, they're going to be like, oh, why didn't she come? Oh, it's so disappointing, whatever. And it's like, they're not going to know why. Well, they do know why. But the point is that like, I think that there actually has to be a conversation had where you tell her how you feel.
How is that supposed to make us feel?
Not the a-hole, don't go take a vacation with your husband or pretend to be sick. Might want to look into getting her dress recolored with Photoshop if she's in any wedding photos. Mustard yellow works or grainy brown. See, but the thing is like, if you pretend to be sick and you kind of like dance around the reason, I just think that that's not really setting a boundary, you know? Like, it's sending a message, but like, if it's just, you know, you're deflecting and kind of not really explaining why, the real reason, I don't know, they're just gonna think that you're the bad guy.
I find your attitude cavalier.
I do understand you not wanting to go because it's like, weddings are expensive, especially destination weddings. And you're kind of like put in this position where you're forced to spend money because you want to support the couple. Like, I'm having a destination wedding and I genuinely feel like it is like totally fine. Like, if you cannot come, it's totally fine. But you also have to think about it as you're going on this fabulous vacation with all of your closest friends and family. The vibes at a destination wedding are immaculate because everybody's like on vacation, right?
Let's go already!
And everybody's just excited to be there. Like, I will say I understand not wanting to spend the money for someone that you don't see being in their life, like being in their future. Like, I think it's fair to not want to spend the money. But I also think that maybe there needs to be a conversation. Everybody's saying show up in a white dress. I don't know. I wouldn't spend the money, honestly. Like, I'm petty as fuck, but like, you can also be petty and not show up to a wedding. You don't have to go and sink to their level, you know? All right, so we do have an update. First, I just want to say thank you to everyone who commented. I did not expect this to get as much support from a group of strangers. Oh, that's really nice. I appreciate the kind things you said. Anyways, we're not saying nice things about ourselves anymore, guys. On to the update. Dan and I have decided we're not going to attend the wedding. As fun and petty as it would be to go and wear something similar to the white dress or go and announce a pregnancy, I know in the end that it would just hurt me and the in-laws I actually like more than it would hurt Jordan and Katie. Good. Like, look how dumb she looked. Come on. You don't need to do that.
I have the high ground.
Plus, their wedding guest list is 220 people. Oh, dude, they won't even notice you're there or not there. Who knows what they would do if I should show up in white? I mean, cream. There are a few family members on DH's side that we know aren't invited. I know, a 220 person destination wedding and they couldn't even include the whole family. So we may go visit them during that weekend instead. As for mother-in-law and father-in-law, we are planning to talk to them this weekend and are just going to be honest about why we don't want to go. I didn't mention this in my original post because I didn't think it was relevant, but mother-in-law and father-in-law are fairly well off. They would 100% offer to cover the cost of the entire trip if we tried to use the excuse that we can't afford it right now. So we might as well just tell them the truth. I agree.
That's a woman who knows how to do her job. She's keeping it real.
Yeah, I think at the very least, like if you don't want to have a confrontation with the bride and groom, you do need to tell the people you do care about exactly why you don't want to be there. Fingers crossed they see our side of things and also realize what Katie did was not only disrespectful to Dan and I, but to mother-in-law as well. It's no secret mother-in-law wants that big happy family, so to do something so blatantly inappropriate at what could have been the start of mending a relationship seems like a slap in the face to her as well. Plus, we genuinely fear what drama they would stir up once kids are involved, so we agree with everyone saying we need to set the boundary now before it gets worse. I will definitely provide another update after we have the talk.
Good talk.
In case you're wondering, sister-in-law was only featured in 2 pictures. That if she needed to be edited, she could. Put her in a puke yellow, you know? All right, so we do have one last update, which I think is relevant. Gather round, fellow potatoes. As Charlotte would say, we have an update. Did you like that? Did you like that little serotonin release? Oh yeah, bud. Oh yeah, dude. God, I'm so Canadian. Before I start, I feel compelled to share, in case anyone is wondering, that Dan is 100% supportive of me sharing this story with all of you. I introduced him to Charlotte when we first started dating, and we often watch her videos together. The morning after the wedding, when we were discussing everything, he goes, well, on the bright side, at least you have a story for the subreddit. Yeah! And now you made it in a video, so there you go. I hope you feel special, babes, because you are.
You're my special friend.
Quick background. As I mentioned in a comment or two, but not in either of my posts because I was trying not to ramble, but I realize is now relevant, after the Christmas blow up, Dan had told mother-in-law that we didn't want to invite Jordan and Katie to our wedding. We'd invited people from all different types of backgrounds and did not want Jordan to say or do anything that would make anyone feel uncomfortable. Mother-in-law begged and pleaded, saying Jordan would never, that she would watch him like a hawk all night. And she would disown him if he ever did anything, etc. And you all know the results of that conversation. So I learned a couple of new things about Katie and Jordan's behavior at the wedding. I heard from a few different people that Kay and Jay were being snarky and dismissive to guests, including to some of my family.
Yeah, that sounds bad.
I don't know exactly what was said, but I do know that the bartenders had to cut Jordan off halfway through the reception because of how much he was starting to act up. Now, you can do whatever you want to hurt me, that is one thing. But as a proud Italian American, don't you dare with my family.
Those who want respect, give respect.
Like, listen, I get it. I definitely get it. It's just interesting how it's like people can walk all over us, but when it comes to like hurting our friends and family, all of a sudden that people-pleasing nature is out the window. Clock it. That was truly the last straw. I told Dan what happened and we were both on the same page, and we're absolutely not going to the wedding under any circumstances. We had kind of already made the decision, but we both knew there could be a way mother-in-law could talk us into it. Not anymore. It was gonna be a hard no. After finding all this out, I finally broke down about the situation after a good cry. Decided I needed to go on a nice long run. While I was running, my amazing DH took it upon himself to give his mom a call and have the talk right then. And it went surprisingly well. Apparently she didn't even argue, not once. Ooh, well that says a lot. She completely understood why we wouldn't go based on the dress incident alone. And she said she had no idea why Katie would do such a thing. Because she's a bitch. Because she's a bitch. When DH told her about Jordan being rude and getting cut off at the wedding, she was mortified and apologized profusely. She even acknowledged that something like that was exactly why we didn't want to invite them in the first place, and she was so sorry. So like, are you gonna disown him now or what? Mother-in-law is not a subtle person. She's basically a combo of Kitty from That 70s Show and Mrs. Weasley from Harry Potter.
Not my daughter, you bitch.
Ooh, that's a great combo. So if she didn't agree with us or understand our viewpoint, she would let us know and probably call me directly. But she didn't, so I do truly believe if she blames anyone, she does not blame or fault us for this decision. As some people suggested, DH and I will be using the money we would have spent going to the wedding on a trip to visit his chosen brother, his best man and college roommate, in Toronto during that weekend. Ooh, goody, you're in my hood. And yes, we will post all the pictures of us having the best time. Well, congratulations. I'm glad that it all worked out and genuinely happy that nobody's pressuring you to be in this situation. That always sucks, right? You feel a certain type of way and like, it's like,
But we're family. Me. What are you gonna do? Ignore them for the rest of your life?
yes, correct.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
No, it's always good to be cordial, guys, but like, I wish I could. All right, so no update has been shared at this time, but I'm happy to know everyone's on your side and nobody's forcing you to go to this wedding, and it's gonna send a message. Let's be honest, girl, it doesn't really seem like she even likes you to begin with, so no harm, no foul.
You did good, kid.
So are you the a-hole for refusing to go to your brother-in-law's destination wedding after his fiance wore white to your wedding?